Peace, family. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Meta God Media, right back at you once again with another GMOGmedia Spotlight. All right, family. First and foremost, I just want to give my condolences to the family and the victims to the tragic mass shooting that happened in Orlando, Florida. Regardless of people's sexual preference, religious beliefs, whatever the case may be, you don't want to see anybody lose their life because of something they chose to do, right? That's the last thing I want anybody to face, is for someone to lose their life based off a sexual preference or a religious preference, etc., and lose their life because of that situation. So that's a tragic event, and again, condolences go out to the family and the victims from the Orlando mass shooting. All right, family, today's topic, I want to talk about the video game industry, and particularly a new game that's coming out called Watch Dogs 2. Now, me personally, family, I consider myself a casual gamer. If you've been following me for a long time on my channel, GMOGMediaTV, I just recently purchased a gaming PC. You can look at my older videos that I unboxed the gaming PC, and you know, from there I basically got a few games that myself and my kids play. I got NBA 2K16, Grand Theft Auto for myself. I got a whole bunch of other games for the kids, Sonic Racing. I can't think of some other games right now, but just a few other games for the kids to play with. But yeah, like I said, I consider myself a casual gamer, and from every so often, you know, I'll check out some gaming channels on YouTube or websites and check out some of the latest games that's coming out. And I came across this story. Shout out to the website Fusion. Fusion.net, how I found out about the story. Basically, the story is about how the white people, right, the suspected white supremacists, are up in arms about the main character from Watch Dogs 2, who happens to be black. Now, I actually watched that trailer, family, when it came out. I think it was last week it came out. And when I watched the trailer, I didn't even know the character was black. I had no idea that the character was black until the story that I saw on Fusion and about the situation with the character being black. But again, that's probably partially my fault, because a lot of times, and I do this too, whenever I watch a YouTube video, you know, sometimes I end up multitasking. So I may listen to somebody talking and I may be doing something else. So I probably wasn't paying attention enough when I watched that trailer for Watch Dogs 2. But again, like I said, I didn't know the character was black until I saw the story on the Fusion website. But anyhow, as you can see on the screen, I got the website up from Fusion, how they're talking about, they're basically saying, you know, that racist gamers are pissed that the hero of Ubisoft, Watch Dogs 2, is a black hacktivist. Now, what I'm going to do, family, I like to draw parallels whenever I do, right? Because on this channel, if you're new to this channel, I talk about counter racism. I talk about issues that affect black people collectively as a group, and I offer my own suggestions based off observation. All right, and I cover all 9 areas of activity, which is basically economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, right? And again, I offer my suggestions on how we can replace the system of racism, white supremacy, with the system of justice. And so with this particular story about Watch Dogs 2, this is the video game industry, and racism exists in all 9 areas of activity, once again. So with this issue about Watch Dogs 2, I'm going to draw a parallel between the main character from Watch Dogs 2, And I'm going to talk about his bio and all that stuff. And I'm also going to talk about another popular video game, which I just mentioned before, one of the main characters from Grand Theft Auto, right? So for Watch Dogs 2, the reason why that the white people, the suspected white supremacists, are upset about the main character from Watch Dogs 2 is simple. The main character does not fit the typical black stereotype. I'm going to read the bio about the main character, whose name is Marcus Holloway. All right. And so the bio for Marcus Holloway is this. Basically, he's 24 years of age. He is the main protagonist in Watch Dogs 2. He joins DedSec in San Francisco to take down a corrupted establishment. Okay, the bio reads, Marcus was born in Oakland, California in 1992, and it's implied that he grew up with low income. He is a self-man, and he has charisma and a gift for hacking. Ubisoft has stated that he dislikes the CTOS system because it is confused with the high-profile criminal. Marcus is a member of the hacker group DedSec and helps them gain members through his efforts in fighting the system. He fights the people who control and want to control CTOS for their own gain. Marcus can be seen fighting with homemade weapons that he learned how to make off the internet. So again, a black person born in a low income, economically deprived area, right? And he later on becomes a hacker. That's literally like finding a needle in the haystack. How many black hackers do you know? Right? How many black people do you know who are at least technically inclined to become a hacker? Right? It's few and far in between. So I'm going to draw a parallel comparison to Grand Theft Auto, right? And again, like I said, he doesn't fit, the main character from Watch Dogs 2 doesn't fit the black stereotype, right? That the dominant society portrays us as, right? So in Grand Theft Auto, right, I'm going to start with Grand Theft Auto 4. So I'm going to read the bio from Carl Johnson, right? So Carl is the second in command of Los Santos based street gang, the Grove Street Families, which is led by his brother Sean Sweet Johnson. Childhood. Carl C.J. Johnson was born in 1968 in Los Santos to Beverly Johnson. He has a father, but as seen into the intro movie, he said he didn't know him. Single parent. Grew up with a single parent in a black family structure that's broken. I talk about that all the time. So anyway, he has a father, but as seen in the intro movie, he said he didn't know him. Beverly had 4 children. Okay? 4 children, a single mother. Sean, Carl, Kendall, and Brian. Sweet states that Carl was born in the Johnson house, the family's childhood, and the current home, Old Reese. A family friend and Glanton's local barber, Old Reese, recalls memories of Carl's father, although Carl tells Joey Leone that he never knew his father and that Sweet was the man of the house but made his life miserable. All right. So it basically, goes on about in more detail about the background of Carl C.J. Johnson from Grand Theft Auto 4. Again, the parallel between Marcus Holloway, Watch Dogs 2, right? A black hacker that grew up in the same circumstances but decided to become a hacktivist and join a hacker group is a polar opposite compared to the background story of Grand Theft Auto's 4 main character, Carl Johnson, right? And let me read to you the bio from the main character, or one of the main characters from Grand Theft Auto 5, which is Franklin Clinton. Franklin Clinton is one of the 3 protagonists in Grand Theft Auto 5, along with Michael DeSanto and Trevor Phillips. Franklin was born in South Los Santos in 1988. He never knew his father. Again, black family structure, single parent home. Again, they're following the stereotypes of a typical black young male growing up in the so-called North Wilderness of America. So, single father, low income area, right? Became a cocaine addict, drugs, while Franklin was still young. As a child, Franklin often heard stories about his father was physically abusive towards his mother. Another stereotype. Possibly causing her cocaine addiction. Franklin's father left his mother while she was pregnant with Franklin. His mother's addiction eventually led to her death when Franklin was young. All right, and it gets into further detail again, like with the character CJ. But again, the main characters that are black in the Grand Theft Auto series, they follow a typical stereotype of a black male that's growing up in an impoverished condition in economically deprived areas, drug infested, gang related, criminal, right? Single parent mother, single parent household. Those are the typical stories that you hear from a black young male in that kind of environment. I draw the parallel in comparison to Marcus Holloway is because that's the reason why there's such an outrage over the main character from Watch Dogs 2, Marcus Holloway, in comparison to the main characters, or one of the black main characters from the Grand Theft Auto series. There was no outrage when it came to Franklin and CJ because they fit the stereotype, right? They fit the stereotype of a young black male growing up in those kind of conditions. Marcus Holloway doesn't. So I commend Ubisoft, the manufacturers and the writers, the people behind the scenes who came up with that character for Watch Dogs 2. And I wasn't really a big fan of Watch Dogs, but because of that, based off that story, I'm gonna definitely purchase that game off the strength of the fact that the storyline itself is compelling for me to be interested in playing that game. So Watch Dogs 2 with the main character Marcus Holloway breaking all racial stereotypes for young black men, I definitely commend them for doing that. And so yeah, that's the main thing right there, family. You know, when you have a situation where you're trying to break the mold of growing up in a low income area from a single parent household, and you are not a stereotype, right? You're not gang related, drug related, you know, have a long criminal history, but yet you do something completely different, right? And getting to computer hacking, you know, that's something that is astronomical. And let me point something out to you also, because in that article that I mentioned earlier about from Fusion, they had a link to a discussion thread from the Steam community, right? And this was really funny when I read this. Let me pull this up on my phone real quick. When I saw this, I thought this was funny, but this is a closed thread from the Steam community talking about the main character Marcus Holloway from Watch Dogs 2. One of the posters in this thread had said something hilarious. They said, black people don't know how to use technology. The story is already bogus and doesn't make any sense. Someone replied back and said, as someone who lives in Atlanta, I can confirm this statement. That is hilarious. So they're already branding black people, right? The dominant society is branding black people as typical people who live in low income areas. If you have that kind of environment around you, you're going to be a drug related, right? A drug dealer or a drug addict, right? You're going to be in a single parent household. You're going to be a criminal, and you're going to be affiliated with a gang. One of those four things. That's the typical story you're going to hear from someone growing up in that kind of environment, right? And so if you attach a black character to someone who's technologically inclined, they consider that a unicorn story. Like, oh, that doesn't happen, that doesn't exist. And I've been a huge advocate of more black people getting involved in information technology, because that's what I do. But on to the subject matter, family. Marcus Holloway from the Watchdog series, incredible story. I'm definitely going to purchase that game, and I love the storyline. And I definitely see why the dominant white society, or these gamers who are white, are mad about the story. Right? It's not a typical story you see from someone, a black male, coming out of that environment. It's just not typical. So I see why they're mad. All right, family, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I do weekly commentary, talk about counter racism, and I talk about issues that affect black people collectively as a group. All right, family, Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media, signing out. Peace.